Mental Health Monday on Radio City Talk with Mick Coyle.
Radio City Talk.
My name's Mick Coyle and Jake Mills joins us in the studio for Radio City Talk's Mental Health Extra. Jake, great to see you. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, how was your bank holiday?
Yeah, it's good actually. Yeah. Although I think we discussed it last time, not being a massive fan of them now because it's like just throws the week completely out. But yeah, all good.
Do you want another one?
Go on. Yeah.
August.
And yeah.
Just wait.
Perfect.
Just you wait. A couple of stories around mental health today I just wanted to throw in your direction and see how they sit with you.
Okay. This is not, we haven't prepared for this.
No. So this is a non-scientific test of you, but there is science in the surveys that have been done. I'm bearing this in mind because I'm going doing a school talk tomorrow.
Oh.
I've been invited into a school to basically say, we need to learn to talk about mental health, and you talk about mental health. So I'm going to go and do it. Like, what have I learned talking about mental health by doing it on the radio? So I'm going to go into a school. And, of course, one of the things that people jump to automatically when they hear about young people and mental health, they instantly think social media, screen time, and so on and so forth. Front page of the Times, the day before I go into this school, under the headline, social media doesn't make teenagers unhappy. Huge study shows. The amount of time teenagers spend on social media has only a negligible effect on their happiness, the most comprehensive study yet has found. Researchers at the University of Oxford blamed sloppy science for studies suggesting that time spent on social media could be linked to poor mental health. They call for the concept of screen time, curbs on phone use, to be abandoned after finding that only a tiny fraction of teenagers' change in life satisfaction could be explained by the length of time they spent online. However, they said that technology companies must be made to hand over their detailed data on what teenagers do online to discover whether there is a particularly harmful way of using social media or some adolescents who are especially vulnerable. A series of studies found that children who use social media are less happy than those who do not, but it has been unclear whether internet time caused misery or if unhappy children were seeking solace online. It's one of them, and we go, oh no, it has no impact. Well, it might have an impact and we need to know more information.
Yeah. I think two things spring to mind. First of all, how it's a particularly unhelpful to have one survey suggesting one thing and then another survey suggesting throw that away and don't take any advice from that and don't have any what did they refer to, no the screen time bans or whatever, and that's a little bit conflicting because then people don't know what one to believe, what to follow, and the advice to follow. However, I think a positive to come from this is that we do need to not use social media as or view it as the source of all evil. I think any issues that do come from social media, particularly in young people, are only part of a bigger problem. I think, if anything, then maybe this can now be a bit of a platform to be talking about the other effects and factors in young people's mental health and why it suffers, economic problems, social factors, excluding from schools, services not being up to scratch. These are the problems.
Is there a danger that we try and think, right, well, what must it be? And generationally, what you do is you go, right, well, what are they doing that we didn't do? Mm-hmm. Presuming that our mental health when we were growing up was absolutely fine and we didn't have any problems. So we go, well, what have they got now? Well, they've grown up as digital natives. They've got social media running through their veins. It's the absolute norm for them. We didn't have that. So maybe that's the problem. Mm-hmm. In the same way that maybe generations before us would go, what is it that they've got that we've not got? It's video games. It's violent video games. So that must be the reason for the problems there. The generation before that, what have they got that we... It's rap music. Mm-hmm. It's the Beastie Boys. And we always look for that thing. And there's a danger, isn't there, where you go, oh, we found it. We know what it is. Let's fix that. And we don't actually delve deeper and go, what's really going on? And actually that idea of chicken and egg are people who are particularly one way of thinking or potentially, depressive might find or look for things online. If they're doing that, then they'd maybe try and look for that somewhere else anyway, be it in music or the arts or friend groups or whatever it is. So we need to actually find out what's going on beyond the screen, because the screen isn't really damaging anyone. Maybe your eyesight if you look at it for too long. The screen isn't the problem. It's what's going on beyond that. And have we got the ability to see beyond that? Yeah, I'm not sure we have.
No, and as I said, I think if you were to get a picture on the reality of it, I would go out and I would ask any parent who's tried to get their child referred for help and support, and ask them, how long did it take? What was the wait? What happened during the wait? What happened once they actually got that assessment? The help and support that they did actually receive and when they received it. For me, that's the biggest failure on our young people as a society. As I said, there's so many different factors, and as you rightly pointed out, we're always looking for blame, and I think recently social media has been victim of that scapegoat type of approach, and even from the government. And I think there's so much that can be read into that to try and paint it as that's the reason. Don't look at anything else. Don't delve into it. Don't look at the support. Don't look at the social and the economic factors. It's social media. So as I said,
it's that thing though, isn't it? Where if you say to your child, "Don't go on social media anymore," what were they using social media for, and why were they looking for that online? Because that wouldn't change. If they want to find it because they're thinking in a certain way, or they're looking for certain things or thoughts or groups of people online, you suddenly go, right, don't think that. They've not changed. You've denied them an access point potentially, but you've not necessarily changed the reasons why they may have been looking for that sense of community, that group, that information, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and that's why in terms of surveys like this, and there was one last week that was saying the opposite. There'll be one next week that will say something totally different again. And I think it's always taking it with a pinch of salt, because I'd probably argue that it's more than minimal, the effects that social media does have on young people, and not even just young people. When we're particularly talking about cyberbullying, when you're talking about body image and the pressure that we're all on, that is having an effect. It absolutely is having an effect, and that's something that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, social media can be a positive. Social media is not going to go away, so it's about how you actually use that for good, rather than just saying it's bad, take it off them. Because nothing's ever worked that way, has it?
Chris Smith has done some analysis of this in the Times today. There are two reasons why researchers struggle to present a clear picture. The first is that while studies in this area generally find correlations, that is a long way from showing causation. Are previously happy children made miserable by what they see online? Are miserable teenagers finding support on the social networks that might actually help them feel better? Or are children who spend lots of time online just different in some other way? The answer could be all three. And the latest study goes further than any other to unpick the tangle. It's almost as if young people are quite complex beings.
yeah. It's I think there's loads of factors, and you can't look for one reason, because there isn't.
On the same day, The Guardian has got a new report. They're doing a feature called London Versus. What they're doing is they're looking at London, then they're comparing it to the rest of the country for various different things. The North of England editor is Helen Pidd, and she's picked out depression stats. Now, I've got a list here of the most depressed areas of England. 4 are on the Wirral. You've got, well, I'll go through the top 15. Rochdale, Carlisle, Birkenhead Central, Woodchurch, different part of Rochdale, Rotherham, Wyre Forest, Fleetwood, Tranmere, Wirral, Middleton in Rochdale, Sutton Hill in Telford, Wyre in Fleetwood, Partington in Trafford, Bidston Hill in Wirral, and Brimington in Stockport. I mean, don't take a genius to look at a map and pick out lines there. The Wirral's particularly prevalent, though, in that top 15 versus the least depressed areas. Westminster, the Isles of Scilly, Ealing, Redbridge in London, Knightsbridge, Mullion in Cornwall, Wimbledon Common, Wembley West, St John's Wood, Ilford Northwest, and Queensbury East. Not saying they're more affluent areas, they sound like more affluent areas to me. In these areas, psychiatrists are the scarcest, with more than twice as many practitioners in London as in Yorkshire per head of population. Proportionally, more specialist psychiatric research and treatment is undertaken in the capital. And they've gone through these studies and these surveys, and they've worked out by number almost a quarter of patients at some GP surgeries are seeking help for the condition. In Stockport, it's nearly 24%. That's incredible, isn't it? That's the 1 in 4, and that's the 1 in 4 with one particular aspect of mental health. You've long said that you're concerned that 1 in 3, 1 in 4 number is significantly worse than those slightly optimistic stats. I've got a doctor here who's Dr. James Higgins. He runs a surgery in Bridlington in Stockport, the most depressed areas of the country. 1 in 3 of his patients aren't depressed and have never been depressed. 2 in 3 are currently depressed, have had treatment for it, or are ongoing treatment. So that's 2 in 3. Then suddenly we're into the majority of the population in this particular part of the world.
I refer you back to our previous conversation. The factors that we were just discussing is the evidence. It's social, it's economic reasons, and as you said, without kind of delving too much into it and knowing the ins and outs of those areas, it's a pretty clear picture of what those factors are that would lead to that being the most depressing, or what was it, top 10 most
top
depressing?
15, yeah.
Quite interesting though, because I did expect St Helens to be there, given suicide figures in St Helens have always been one of the highest. But yeah, no, that's let's refer back to the last comment. There's the proof, there's the evidence.
There's all sorts in this London versus survey, by the way. That idea, though, that geographically, people presume that your mental health is based around your situation or things that have happened to you in your life. But actually, if you're getting geographical correlations, I guess that becomes more helpful, because you can kind of go, right, what's going on in these areas? They've highlighted pregnant mums who smoke as being particularly high in those areas. They've looked at areas of deprivation as to whether or not incomes. And if you could factor those in, you can actually do something about it, can't you? If you choose to and think, right, these are the factors which appear to be at the centre of this one, we can invest around these factors that might make a difference to people's lives. Yeah,
and that's got to be the approach. It's got to change from the one-size-fits-all type of approach to say, well, what works in Westminster is going to work in Stockport. You can't work that way. Things like this can help. Work that charities are doing across the country should be fed back. There should be that ongoing conversation. The people on the ground are the ones who know. They know the reality. They know what works. They know what the problems that they're hearing time and time again. Even just having a look at the support that's around in these areas, whether it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, the NHS is fantastic, but there are people who don't trust the NHS or don't feel that association to the NHS when it comes to the mental health, and they would rather go to a voluntary group rather than NHS as well. So there should be investment into that type of approach. It's looking at what is available and how many people then are actually getting that support. It's looking into social prescribing and tying it in as well.
Because one of the dangers with that is you go, oh, it's about money. It is about money. It's clearly money. But actually, it's interesting that the doctor who's from Stockport asked why he thinks it's such a prevalent thing. He says, when you've got people who are from working class areas that have already got problems, it's easier for someone to admit that they're already a bit broken, that they might have ongoing problems, which you wouldn't necessarily, if you flip that around, if you've got somebody in the heart of Westminster, in the heart of big money London, they're less likely to admit that they've potentially got an issue, because they're not allowed to admit that, because they've got to be, in Knightsbridge cleaning up cash. They've got to be, a politician in Westminster that's absolutely doing the business left, right and centre.
Yeah, and for me, it's important to look at where people are and what they're doing, and just having a little look at that as well. You just mentioned it about smoking. Nobody wants to touch an organisation to do with smoking because the negative connotations. But the reality is, people are smoking, and looking, just skimming through that, the problems. 30% of the population smoke. So why are people smoking? Or can you be working alongside the organisations to be getting a message across to people who are buying cigarettes? For example, we have to change the approach. We have to work with where people are, what people are doing, what they're buying, what's their environment. Let's change the environment around people instead of saying, that's where you go. Let's go to them. That's exactly what we want to do. I think there's a piece of work, loads of work that can come from this to look, how do we get a message to people instead of how do people come to us and find our message?
Jake Mills is with us. Jake, I'm going into this school tomorrow.
Yeah.
One of the big things I'm going to say, absolutely, is I'm not a trained psychiatrist. I'm not, I'm not an expert trained in mental health. But one of the things that I'm aware of is that the school is talking about exam period and exam stress as well. So I talk about mental health on the radio. You run a mental health charity. So you're my expert. You're my go-to guy. What should young people who are preparing for GCSEs and A-levels, maybe that's already underway, what for you is the best advice that you can give them in terms of trying to keep as calm as possible, keep your sanity as best you can during these slightly, feel like crazy times when you've got exam after exam and it's one subject then another, and then you got to revise for the next, and there's no breaks, and it feels like it's never going to end, and it feels like the whole world is watching you, because of course you've got to get everything right now, because if you've not got it all right when you're 16, when are you ever going to get it right? It can be very complicated. What would you advise?
It's hard, isn't it? Both as parents as well. We've got this to come. My automatic response is to go, it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. But then at the same time, they are going to worry about it, and that's not good. Is that necessarily the best advice? I suppose my advice is, doesn't matter, don't worry about it. No, it's I don't know. I'm struggling to come up with it because it's what I want to.
It's that thing of don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. But even when you're 40 and you apply for a job, people are still going to be asking you what you've achieved this week. And that's the slightly perverse nature of our exam system, I think. Exactly.
I don't like the exam nature. I don't like how we're tested on things from such a young age. It sounds cliche, but it's literally just do what you can do. Everybody's winging it. Everybody's winging it in life. All you can do is don't. I don't know. I'm struggling because I know what I want to say, and it's not the best advice. So yeah, and also it's not only that, but it's also the idea of you going into the school tomorrow with a cap on backwards, you're carrying your skateboard.
Yeah, I'm rapping the whole presentation.
Hello, fellow kids. That one. Yeah, how do fellow kids? But no, it's I'm not a fan of exams in schools.
Oh, great! Because what I was going to do, I was going to replay this bit out to the school. And I was going to go, look, I'm not the expert, but Jake Mills is what he said. And you've just fluffed that answer there.
I have.
I've just kind of gone, yeah, don't worry about it. All the teachers will be going, oh, what?
I know, because I'm trying to be professional and not say what I really mean.
Jake, what are you working on at Chasing the Stigma?
So we're just getting ready for Mental Health Awareness Week, which is next week. So yeah, there'll be a few things in regards to our Ambassadors of Hope programme and other people who have signed up to that. And yeah, just a few things to be announcing next week. So
will you tell us about it as part of next week's show?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Jake Mills with the Mental Health Extra, following on from Mental Health Monday. No podcast this week, don't forget we've got a great show coming up next week. We've got Johnny Benjamin coming on the programme, by the way. Something of a celebrity in the particular field.
Is he coming in?
He's coming. He'll be in a studio somewhere.
Ah, okay.
I've not finalised the details yet. Plus, we'll be hearing about mental health within the emergency services as well. Actually, planning to come as part of next week's Mental Health Monday from Radio City Talk.
Mental Health Monday
On Radio City Talk
with Mick Coyle.
Tackling the stigma.
Radio City Talk.